Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We're back with another Q&A episode where we try to share our insight on the stuff that our fellow kinksters are going through. This week, a sub wants to be punished, but they don't want it to be sexual, and they don't know how to get that in their power exchange. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Here's the question. It says, I'm in a woman-loving woman relationship. I'm a sub. My girlfriend is the dom. We use toys during sex. She spanks me and hits me while we have sex, but sometimes something I've noticed is she doesn't seem as comfortable with punishing me without sex. I just want her to bend me over and punish me, and that's it. So what can I do to get her more comfortable with doing that? I feel like I know what your first thought was.
Right. It's the ever omniscient C word.
I mean, it's both our favorite C word and kind of the dreaded C word.
Yeah. Because
it's the first thing. It's always the first thing.
Yeah. Communicate.
Yeah. Have you talked to your partner about this?
Nobody is a mind reader. Dom, sub, switch, however you identify. Nobody's a mind reader. So the only way somebody's going to know what you want, you have to tell them.
You have to tell them, and I think you have to get specific. You're already in a relationship. Yeah. You've already sort of established the things that you do and don't do with one another. You've got the examples of the things that you've done that you both like and you maybe kind of wish were a little bit different. So it's not enough to just go, hey, can you just punish me without sex sometimes? Can you just like wail on me? Can you just like make me regret my actions consensually? To help a partner become comfortable with that, especially if it's not their natural way of operating, or if you have mentioned it and they're still uncomfortable, give them concrete examples of what you're thinking about. Go back to past moments and say, remember that time where we did the whole punishment thing and it was sexy and sexual? Here's a way that it would have been really cool without the sex. Here's a way that, I would have enjoyed it as well. Here's a fantasy of mine. The thing about punishment is it has to be negotiated just like anything else.
Sure.
And you may have a partner who's like, well, we've never talked about punishment, so that's not what I'm doing. Maybe they see the punishing during sex more as punishment. Maybe it's part of the scene or some role play for them. So when you talk to them, get into the details of how they see it and also what you want.
Right, because the other thing that comes to mind at this is, does their partner view BDSM as sexual?
Right.
A lot of people do, some people don't, some people it's a mix. So, they may be viewing it through this lens, and there again too, that may be something you need to tell them. I don't always see it this way, and to me during punishment, not the time for that.
Right. Or it's okay in some contexts and not all contexts. Here are the contexts in which I would like punishment to not be sexual.
Right.
Now the thing is you can tell your partner what you want, what you're looking for, and they get to have their own limits and boundaries. So it is entirely possible that when you first start mentioning this, your partner's not comfortable ever or yet. Okay. So when you ask, how do you get her more comfortable with doing that? Well, one, it needs to be something that she innately wants to do. And in the beginning, or right when you bring it up, she might say, no, I'm not interested. It's possible that may never change. It's also equally possible that over time, the longer you're together, the more experiences you have together, the more you, not in a constant, naggy, overwhelming way, but over time, as you talk about it at different times over months and years, she can become more comfortable with it. And I do think that coming to your partner with concrete examples, whether they're fantasies or times that you were like, ooh, if you had done this, that would have been so amazing, right? To point out the instances that maybe they've already been in, or the instances that they weren't even thinking of because that's not on their mind, but you have clearly thought of it. When we tell people, hey, you've got to talk to your partner, I think some people go, hey, I just have to tell my partner I want this, and then that's the end of the conversation. They'll know all of the questions to ask.
I mean, this
almost never true.
Right, and this may be one of those times where you may be talking about negotiating compromise.
Right. And you may have to decide for yourself if punishment outside of a sexual experience is a deal breaker for you or not. It may be something that you're like, yeah, it's a nice to have, and maybe one day we'll get there, but it's not something I need in this relationship. I'm happy as we are. This would just be icing on the cake. It could be a, no, this is fundamental to, who I am as a submissive, what I need in power exchange. Only you can answer that. And it's okay if the answer is, I don't even know. I need time to think about that part as well. What it really comes down to is, how do you present the information to your partner of what you want, and how do they accept that information? If they immediately reject it, if they're immediate hard no, you have to respect that and back off, leave it alone. If they respond with some level of curiosity or openness to the idea, even if they're uncertain, even if they're like, I don't know what that would look like, I don't know what you mean by that, that's an opening for the conversation. And it is very possible that you may share an example of, hey, this would have been so amazing. This is what I'm looking for. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I like that too. Let's do it. Now, if in whatever form you add punishment to your exchange, your power exchange, your dynamic, you need to have parameters, and everybody needs to understand the parameters of that. Punishment and power exchange outside of a sexual experience, where ultimately the goal is pleasure in some form, it just looks a little bit different in my opinion and experience than when it's like, oh, I'm a bad girl while you're fucking me. Like, it's just a different thing. So in that case, it's, well, under what circumstances will there be this punishment? What are the options of punishment? Is it a bend me over and spank me because I've been a bad girl? Is it, I talked back? Is it I gave you a look? Is like, what are the punishments, and what initiates the punishment? What actions or inactions will occur so you both consensually understand this is that moment? Okay, you want me to punish you, but what does that mean and when? So once you give those kinds of very real details and negotiate it back and forth within your own comfort level, then they have a place to go to become comfortable, because it's not a great unknown, and they know exactly when and what to do as it comes up. And I think that if they're open to it, that's how you grow comfortable with it. I think just sort of having this mysterious punish me and that's the end of the conversation. There's way too much room for interpretation. Yeah. And a responsible dom does not want it that open-ended. Right. They want some parameters.
I mean,
so they can keep everybody
safe. Sounds to me too like there could be some misalignment in expectations.
Very true. Very true. Which is, we go back to, you have to have the conversation.
Right.
But if you've already had the conversation, you're like, yeah, I did that part, but it's not working. Okay, but how detailed were you in the conversation? Did you say, this is what I want when I want it? Here's an example of a situation, and give them time and space and room to think about it, to go, talk to their own, maybe they're in some dom groups. They've got some online kink community that they can go, pick somebody's brain, and give them that space to do that, assuming that they don't immediately shut it down as a hard no. I mean, it is both that simple and that complicated.
That is true. Yeah.
Final point, if your partner's not comfortable, there's nothing you can do to make them comfortable. I think if they are willing to try, even if they're uncomfortable, the best thing you can do is to give consistent feedback. Hey, yeah, that was a rough moment, but you did a good job. That was what I wanted. Thank you for that, right? Like, whatever it is, whatever kind of feedback works for your dom, make sure you're giving them that, because it's a bit of a mindfuck to physically or in any other way punish a grown-ass adult when that is not where your mind went immediately, right? Like, if you didn't come up going, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do in a relationship, it's weird. It's a mindfuck. It's like, did I do that right? Did I go too far? Did I not go far enough? So when things are going well, if they're willing to try, make sure you let them know, and have room for both of you within any part of the dynamic for feedback for when maybe it could be better. Like, you could say, You could have the ability to go, that was a little too hard. That wasn't hard enough. I need more. I need less. And they need to have the ability to go, okay, I understand this is when you want punishment and this is the kind of punishment you want. We've tried it. I don't think I can do that, but maybe I can do this. And just keep those lines of communication open. Give each other feedback. Praise your partner for doing something outside of their comfort zone. And if it's something they're willing to do, the longer they do it and get the positive feedback from you that they're doing the right thing, over time, that's how you become more comfortable with things.
Yep.
So I think that's it. Mm-hmm. If you have been in a similar position, whether you're the dom or the sub here, and you have insight and experience you'd like to share, please comment below. We can all learn from one another. If you have your own question, there's a link in the description box where you can submit it. It'll come to us as an email, and it may be a future video. You never know. You never know. If you enjoyed this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And go ahead and ring the notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. But also, let me tell you what both Baby Girl and Daddy would like. We have a little mini goal of getting finally to 10,000 subscribers after all these flipping years. So, if you're watching consistently and haven't subscribed, just saying.
Yeah, now's the time.
Help a baby girl out. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. If you really like what we do, want to help us do more of it and get extra content, you can join us on Patreon. Link down below. And yeah, that's it for us this time. Bye.
Bye.